with Dr. Benita Zahn.
Hi. More than 200,000 pregnancies will end in miscarriage. That's about 10 to 20% of all known pregnancies. And it can be emotionally devastating. Making it more difficult is the social taboo about discussing this. Recently, the Duchess of Sussex, Markle, went public about her experience, urging people to ask, "Are you okay?" Before her loss, we heard from model and television personality Chrissy Teigan about her miscarriage. So what can we learn from them? How can we help? How do we kick that stigma of this conversation to the curb? Michelle Kennedy founded a website called Peanut to do just that, and she joins us now from across the pond. You've got to love technology. Michelle, thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.
You know, listen, even though families aren't getting together face-to-face in a room, they will be getting together face-to-face. So the issue of miscarriage is bound to come up in families who endured a loss. How do we even begin that conversation so that we help in the healing and not add to the hurting?
You know, the first thing I think it's important to say is speaking about it openly won't necessarily be for everyone. Not every woman should feel that she has to talk about it, but if she thinks that it would help her in her road to recovery, she can. Obviously, the format and the forum in which she chooses to share is also important. You might choose to share it with your family. You might actually want to just share it with a community of women, like on Peanut, or with other women that are around you. You know, this is such a huge issue. 1 in 4 women will experience miscarriage at some point, and unless we destigmatize talking about it, then it will always feel challenging in order to have that conversation. So it's not for everyone, but if you can, you should.
Is the stigma because we point a finger, we look to place blame?
I think so many women do feel responsible for what they might consider to be their body failing them, what they might consider to be something they could have done differently. And the answer is there is none of those things that are true in the majority of cases. This is something that unfortunately happens. I think the stigma comes from telling women that they shouldn't talk about pregnancy before 12 weeks. You know, we're all very familiar with don't mention you're pregnant until after the 12-week scan, because that's the risk zone, as if losing a baby at 11 weeks is less traumatic than losing a baby at 13 weeks, for example. And so I think that we do have a lot of social constructs around when you can and can't talk about being pregnant, and that probably leads to many women feeling they can't talk about loss.
Yeah, I have a friend who lost a baby, and it was, of course, devastating to her, and she's pregnant again now, and in the time of COVID, she doesn't even know how to tell friends. And, you know, first of all, there's that concern, what if, you know, disaster really strikes again and she's doing well, but how do we even navigate this in the time of COVID when we're separated?
Yeah, I mean, that's also very hard. And I know stories from women on Peanut who are saying they've suffered loss, but they don't actually know how to talk about it with their colleagues because it will alert people to the fact that they're trying and they don't know what that might mean for career. So there are lots of different barriers that people feel. I think because of COVID and because we're not face-to-face necessarily, sharing news of loss can feel hard. Sharing news of good news that you're pregnant can also feel like it's not the same, the intimacy is lost. So I think being able to have video calls, utilizing functionality like that wherever you can is important. But also, you know, the power of words is really important. Sometimes going back to the good old fashioned writing a message, writing a note, sending some kind of communication, that's okay too.
So I'll bring you full circle. So how do we begin to destigmatize this? Is it on the shoulders of the woman who has endured the loss, she and her family, or is it on all of us?
You know, there is an amazing, amazing movement at the moment. As you've mentioned, the Duchess of Sussex, Chrissy Teigan, women who are using their public profile to come out and speak openly about issues that we've seen women on our platform talking about for years now. So there is something so legitimizing and freeing in knowing that what you have experienced is completely normal, it's completely natural, that there are women that you might look up to or admire who have also experienced something similar. So continuing to see their stories will help us for sure. I also think that we need to lessen some of those barriers in terms of when we can tell people about being pregnant, at what time we consider it to be safe, and really also, even as employers, enabling your workforce to talk about when they've suffered loss, but also when they're trying, and not feel that that should jeopardize their prospects in any way. All of these constraints will help women start to have the conversation more easily.
And before I let you go, Peanut, tell us a little bit about the website and why you created it.
So Peanut is an app to connect women at all life stages of motherhood. So whether that's because you're trying to conceive, you're going through IVF, surrogacy, adoption, whether you have unfortunately suffered loss, whether you're pregnant or a new mom, or indeed you've got toddlers or older children, it connects you with other women in an area around you who are going through the same thing at the same life stage. So you can talk about all things motherhood or nothing to do with motherhood at all, and just about your life. It was created because I was the first of my girlfriends to have a baby. I didn't really have any connectivity to what motherhood meant in that respect. And I was really just craving some support and some solidarity, some community. I had so many questions. I also just wanted to talk to people who were also up at 2 a.m. doing a night feed, or who were also exhausted. I have friends who were going through fertility treatments, and they wanted to speak to people who were also experiencing IVF, or who had suffered a kind of crushing moment where they didn't get the adoption they were waiting for. So it really just showed itself that there was nothing really for women out there that was created with care at the center, that was safe, that wasn't just another kind of public platform. Peanut is very much about having a safe space for women to have the conversations they need to have.
Michelle Kennedy, thanks so much for your time. Wishing you all good health, a happy new year, and a nice place for women to come together, for them to feel empowered. Thank you. And to find a link to Peanut, just click on links right here at WNYT.com. We'll see you next time.